Namaste and welcome back to Hindipedia. I'm Rishi and I'm here to teach you a little bit of Hindi once again. So as you can see, it's been a little while since I did my last few videos and I promised that I would do a video very soon and do them more often, but I just got up with other work and stuff and couldn't do it. But I'm back now with a lot of new stuff to teach you, a lot of interesting things, a little bit of grammar, some new vocabulary, how to talk to people in different situations. So today what I'm going to teach you is something very simple and fundamental. It's pronouns. Pronouns for the first person, me, I, pronouns for the second person, you, and pronouns for the third person. So we're going to start with pronouns for the second person actually, because that is slightly more complicated than it is in English, for example. So in Hindi, the word you, as in referring to the person you're talking to, a second person, has three forms. So it's not just you, one word like we have in English, but there are three different forms, and they are tu, tum, and aap. Tu, tum, and aap all mean you, but they're used in very different contexts, and they have slightly different meanings in the way you use them. So let's look at tu. Tu is the casual form of you. So when you're talking to friends, when you're talking to someone younger than you, or someone who you know well, then you use tu. It's just a very casual way of addressing someone in the second person. The second version of you is tum, which is slightly more formal, which is something which if you weren't too comfortable with someone, or you didn't have such a casual relationship and you didn't want to say tu, you would say tum. It could be used with strangers as well, strangers of a similar age. So a lot of the difference in these things are often based on age in India. So language changes a lot based on people's age, because you always talk to people older than you with more respect than you do with people your age or younger than you. So that's tum, which is slightly more formal than tu. And the final form is aap. Aap is the most formal and respectful form of you. So if you're talking to someone older than you, if you're talking to, say, for example, your grandparents, you would address them as aap. Or even if you meet someone for the first time and it's a stranger, you would address them as aap. You wouldn't say tu or tum generally. Definitely not tu. In a business setting, you would always address people as aap. Generally, I advise people when they're first learning the language to always use the respect form, aap. Even if you're talking to small children, you're talking to anyone, even friends, because it's just, when you're first learning the language, it's a good way to talk to people. It's very polite, it's very respectful, which is why, if you remember from my previous lessons, when I taught you how are you doing and what your name is, I always used aap, the respect form of you. So for example, just to reiterate one of the previous lessons, how are you was aap kaise hain, right, which is using the respect form of you. But we can say the same question in the other two forms as well. So instead of saying aap kaise hain, you could have said tu kaisa hai, which means how are you when you're addressing someone who's a male. Tu kaisa hai. If it's a female, it becomes tu kaisi hai. Then you could also use tum, which is tum kaise ho. These are different pronouns which you can use in different situations, and based on the pronoun and the gender of the person you're addressing, the other words also change, like the verb changes sometimes. In this case, the question word form changed, which are more sort of nuanced things which you will learn as you go along, and you learn a few more sentences and phrases. And even for this video lesson, if you go back to our main site, our blog hindipedia.com, you will see there are lesson notes now. We've created more detailed explanation of pronouns of different forms and different situations where they use the English equivalent, and a little bit more about the grammar explanation in long form text. So if you go back to hindipedia.com and look for the lesson notes for lesson 4, you will find it all there. Now, so that's covered the second person. So if we want to talk about pronouns of the first person, that is me, that's मैं. I think that we did that in the first lesson. When someone asks you आप कैसे हैं, you say मैं ठीक हूँ, I am okay. So मैं means I. But even मैं has a respect form, which is हम. You can say, even for yourself, you can say हम ठीक हैं. And हम also happens to be the plural form. So we is हम. And if I want to talk, like if I was a queen and I were to say I am okay, I would say हम ठीक हैं. So there is also a respect form for a singular first person. So मैं, हम, तू, तुम, आप. Aap is also used as a plural form. So this is one thing you will find common, is often the respect form and the plural form of a word or a pronoun is the same. So like hum can be used for single person respect or plural. Aap can be used for second person respect or plural. And then we come to the third person. Third person word is wo or vah. Wo. The pure Hindi form is vah, V-A-H, vah. But in sort of speaking and more colloquial way, we really say it as wo, V-O. So wo means he, she, or it. And sometimes in a respect form or in a plural form, we also say ve. So how is he or how is she, and you want to say he's fine, he's okay, say wo theek hai. Or you say ve theek hai. Finally, today's lesson, I want to talk about one last thing, which is how the verb changes form based on who you're talking about, the person or the, if it's singular, plural, or respect form. So here we've been talking about the verb to be. I am fine, you are fine, he is fine, she. To be in Hindi is hona. Hona. मैं ठीक हूँ. The हूँ is a form of होना, to be. I am. Am is हूँ in Hindi. So the root verb is होना, to be. So the first person form is हूँ. The second person, if you're saying तू, you say है. तू ठीक है. तुम ठीक हो. आप ठीक हैं. So these are lots of different versions. वो ठीक है. वे ठीक हैं. Don't worry about, if you're getting confused and you're thinking, oh my god, how am I going to remember all this? Of course, you don't have to worry about remembering them all immediately. The more you read new sentences, the more you, hear new phrases, you'll pick up these things quickly. What I want you to concentrate on, though, is this nasal sound that is very peculiar to Hindi. It's definitely not there in English. It's probably there in other languages. So when I say मैं ठीक हूँ, it's probably sounding, the verb is probably sounding to use as H-O-O, whom. But there is a slight, the way I spell it is H-O-O-N. So there's a slight nasal sound towards the end of the word. So it's not hoon. You don't quite say the N completely, but you kind of make a nasal sound. So it's hoon, मैं ठीक हूँ. Secondly, in the second person respect form, or in the first person respect form, or plural form, we say हम ठीक हैं. So the हैं also has that nasal form, sound. So I spell it as H-A-I-N. हम ठीक हैं. आप ठीक हैं. But the same है, if I'm talking about the third person singular, and I say वो ठीक है, so the nasal sound is not there. So the nasal sound usually comes when we are talking in the respect or in a plural form. So मैं ठीक हूँ, हम ठीक हैं, तू ठीक है, तुम ठीक हो, आप ठीक हैं, वो ठीक है, वे ठीक है. I think that should do for today. That's a lot of sort of new grammatical rules that I've introduced today. But don't worry about remembering them all. Go back to hindipedia.com, read through the course, the lesson notes for today, and please leave a comment, ask a question, tell me what you did not understand, what more you would like to learn, and I'm going to start making more of these videos and have lesson notes with each of them so that you can actually read through the text and look at the spellings and try and think how it all fits together, because what you want to do is not just learn phrases but learn how the language works, so that once you learn a few verbs and a few rules, you pick up new vocabulary here and there, and then you can make your own sentences. That's what I would like you to do. It won't be perfect in the beginning. You're not going to suddenly speak fluent Hindi, but that's a start. That's how you'll get going, and that's how you'll get good. So that's all for today. My name is Rishi, and this is Hindipedia.com. Thanks a lot for watching.